probably 15 in the lead up to the 2016 election and 16 when it happened. And so that's the beginning of my political memory. I can kind of vaguely remember the elections before, but not with any level of sophistication. I was like 12. And so I think there's a shared strange generational experience with Gen Z, which I think is people born 97 to 2012, which I'm really talking about the people closer to 97 to like within a few years of my age range, where we've only really known political divisiveness. We've only known a reality where like there are relatives that you can't invite to Thanksgiving because somebody's mad at somebody else over politics, even though they've been just fine for decades before that. And so I think growing up with that, looking at that model and looking at, okay, there are these two-party systems. It's literally like shattering the fabric of my school and people are getting canceled, or it's shattering the fabric of my family, and maybe my parents are having tension because they like the opposite political party. Like growing up with that, I think there's a reason why Gen Z, even though I would say that by and large, we are very progressive and definitely on the left, but we're far less likely than most people to say, like, ascribe our political beliefs to a specific party. I think it's Gen Z is twice as likely to be registered independent as anyone in the general electorate. And so I would say my generation by and large is more attracted to that because we've never known anything different than just like a partisan hellscape and things like the wheels coming off the bus here with our country being torn apart by these two teams. And then every single election that I remember have just been lesser of two evil elections where it doesn't seem like anyone's happy with the options that we have. So I'm a registered independent. I don't know why I would put myself in a specific box because of that life experience.
So I'm going to read you 3 stats that you put in one of your articles, and each one of these I was like, oh boy, and the third one really shook me. California, during the runoff, they saw 48% drop in young turnout compared to 2020. The Virginia governor race saw a 62% drop in voters under 30, more than 60% drop. And then the last one was half of Gen Z is registered as independents. I think that would shock people who are older, who are used to independence was kind of a joke. Like, it's like, libertarians and independents, they hang out with all their imaginary friends, right? And it's like the Republicans and Democrats and nobody else. What's going on? Why do you think that is such a high percentage of registered voters?
Because the system's never worked for us for as long as we can remember. And the idea that you have two options and that, we're the most diverse generation of human beings to ever share a nation in human history. And there's absolutely no reason why we should just fit into two sets of boxes. I think people are, there's a whole host of complaints I know a ton of people who are independents because the Democratic Party's not left enough for them. So it's not like we're a bunch of moderates sitting around in the middle and just like wanting everyone to be kumbaya. But I think just that life experience in that context has made us way more independent minded, which I think could in the long term be a good thing. We're definitely further, like the mean of my generation is far more to the left than I am. But there's also another interesting statistic that like the biggest drops of approval ratings for Biden over the past couple of years have been among young people and Gen Z. So even though there are very few of us that are registered Republican, there are also very few of us who look and say like the Democratic Party is doing what I want it to do, or like at least that Biden is. And so I don't know. I think it's just this new attitude of like George Washington, his farewell address was like, don't do the two-party system thing because that's going to pull people apart and alienate them from one another. And here's the generation whose whole life experience is kind of built on that foundation and that understanding.